Martha's going to start us off. Chris in Illinois. Hi, Martha. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hi, Dave. Thank you for taking my phone call.
Sure. How can we help?
Well, I just started listening to you a few months ago, and I actually filed for Chapter 13 bankruptcy in August, and I was just looking for some guidance as to like how I should proceed. I've been able to save $1,000, but I can't do that snowball right now because I'm obviously in bankruptcy. But so, like, what would be your advice for me? I guess how to go forward.
So you're by yourself? You're single?
No, with my husband.
Oh, okay. The two of you. All right. And what's your household income?
So last year we made 56 combined.
Okay. And how much debt did you file on in the Chapter 13?
It was about, I want to say it was close to 50. I don't have the paperwork with me.
What was it that scared you or pushed you to the point that you went and filed?
Well, we started doing our budget, but we realized that we were like about $1,000 in the red every time. So we were spending more money than we were making, and we had a lot of personal loans, and they were like just the payments were coming out of our paycheck every 2 weeks. So it was just very overwhelming, and we just couldn't do it.
Okay, out of $50,000, what were your big payments?
So we had personal loans.
I know, but give me your biggest payment. What was the biggest payment that was driving you nuts?
Combined.
Say again?
They were the personal loans combined. Just the loans were the ones that were killing us.
How much of the $50,000 are personal loans?
It was about probably like $10,000. It wasn't that much, but the interest rate was super
How much is your
high.
car payment?
Our car payment was $325.
What about the other one?
We only had one.
How much your house payment?
We rent, so it was $800.
What's the student loans?
We don't have any.
Which collectors were driving you crazy?
We weren't at that point yet.
So, Martha, did you all have credit cards?
We did.
Okay. So you had...
Honestly, before we filed, all our payments were up to date. We weren't behind, but it didn't matter how much my husband drives for Uber, so it didn't matter how many hours he put in. Like every time we would go to make our payments, we would end up negative.
Yeah. And so you got the personal loans for what? What were you doing with the money from the personal loans?
Well, we thought that we can consolidate some of the credit cards or other smaller loans, but it didn't work out the way we planned.
Yeah, and so what you're feeling now is the opposite of what we teach with the debt snowball, where you leave them individually. You put all of these in together, and you felt overwhelmed.
And a large interest rate and a large payment.
Right. And so the where you go from here right now is, I want you to hear me, where you are right now doesn't have to be where you end up unless you all change your habits. See, you've got to understand that debt is not your friend, young lady. The personal loans and the credit cards, they're not your friend. It's a frenemy. It's a thing you thought was your friend that it's your enemy. And it takes from you. So one of the things to do is to really dig in and plug into financial peace and learn how to properly budget and stay allergic to debt. Because if not, Martha, what I've seen people do as a financial coach, people will end up going back into the same habits that got them there.
So here's what we're talking about. The numbers you're giving us, my head keeps going sideways because I can't find the hole in the math with what you've given me, unless the $10,000 is a ridiculous interest rate in a short term, meaning you're paying $1,000 a month out on that, because you should have been able to pay the payments that you were doing. I think you just got overwhelmed, disorganized, and scared, which it's not a sin, but I was trying to figure out what happened that forced you into there. It wasn't somebody coming after you. It was the sense of no traction. So we're going to put you in financial peace with your husband for a year. Okay? I'm going to pay for it for a year. I want you to stay in there. I want you to do the budget every month. Now, how do you get out of a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, which is a payment plan on your debts for 5 years? Well, the first thing you do is you build up $1,000. Do you have any debts that are not in the bankruptcy? If you do, you pay those first. And then if not, you put your Chapter 13 as your only debt snowball item, and you're going to save up and pay it off in one fell swoop, working with the Chapter 13 trustee, not your lawyer. Call the Chapter 13 trustee's office. 98% of the Chapter 13 trustees do a great job. They're one of the few bright spots in the whole bankruptcy system. And so go in there and work with them. They'll either allow you, depending on your district, to pay extra payments like it was just a debt, but get it out of there, get it paid off inside of the 5 years. Lump sum or extra payments, either one is fine. And you've got to be on a budget, and you've got to be in attack mode. It's not, as you've noticed, the debt didn't go away when you put it in Chapter 13. Chapter 13 is just payments.
That's exactly right.
So you're still paddling, and the water, you're still, the canoe's going this way, but the waterfall's still coming up behind you.
It really is. And Dave, oftentimes in these bankruptcies, people will reaffirm on vehicles.
Yeah.
And so that's you agreeing to either try to catch up on the vehicle or keep it. And so it's just one of those chances where, you've got to use this as a moment of reset.
Well, her payment didn't go down on her vehicle. On secured debt and Chapter 13, she's paying the full payment.
Right.
Or she gave up the car, and she didn't give up the car.
No.
And so, the only thing that could have gone down would have been some of these other payments on the unsecured stuff that, and it goes down either because they've reduced the total debt, and if that's the case, then we can still pay it off in the debt snowball.
Do you typically advise people to let the car go?
In a Chapter 7, always.
Okay.
In a Chapter 13, there's very few times I put somebody in a Chapter 13.
Right.
Because it's just paying payments.
And that's what you're going to do
and
yourself.
You're already paying payments.
That's right.
And so I'd rather you work something. I would have sold the car and avoided the 13. That's the way it probably would have been if you'd come to us ahead of time with coaching. But she's already there, and we'll help you, kiddo, where you are. I understand how scared you are. I can hear it in your voice. I remember that feeling, and you're going through a year of financial peace as our gift. And then you get to call us back someday and yell you're debt free. This is the Dave Ramsey Show.